Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. This week we have a musician, Jonathan Wyndham. He's played with Colbie, Caillat, and Jessie Deceker, and also does his own solo projects. This episode covers a lot of ground, such as how much kids can cost you, the birth of his twins, stories from touring, creativity, your kids and social media, traveling the world, and really it's just a lot of stories. So this was really fun to talk to Jonathan, and I hope you enjoy it.
That August frazzle that hits parents. And
Yeah.
so to be like a country artist, trying to cut a Christmas record and be so stoked for family time when you're so over, oh, well, cool, well, your kid's, like, he's in football now, so you need to pay $800 to help with the football thing, or else they're going to have janky helmets, and they might get a concussion, and here's the waiver for that.
Yeah.
And, like... And like you're supposed to cut a Christmas record.
Yep.
It's beginning to look a lot like what?
It's beginning to look like a drained bank account.
Yeah. Oh man, ain't that's parenting 101, I think.
It is. So I'm a stay-at-home dad. I have an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So my two oldest are in like 3rd and 1st grade, and I stay home with a 3-year-old. Cool. So like summers are like basically my workload triples. And so by the time it gets to August, like I've already done 2 to 2.5 months of like, how do I entertain 3 kids? And like, I try not to do a lot of camps because they don't have like, they still haven't expressed like, here's my interest, here's my thing yet. So I usually just like take them to like a zoo, a science center, like do adventures like that. And so by the time it gets to be like August, I'm like, I just did since probably May 20th until August 1st. Like full court press of like me and 3 kids trying to figure out like, how do I entertain them? How to make sure they're having fun and like keep our sanity at the same time.
You said 8, 5, and 3, right?
8, 6, and 3.
8, 6, and 3. Okay.
Yep.
That's not, are they doing sports yet? Like
they do a little bit, but the 2 older ones are girls. And so they more like ballet and like gymnastics. So it's not like the very like weekend heavy sports yet.
Right.
It's just kind of like, hey, it's a Thursday at 5. We're going to go to ballet for like an hour, and then we're going to come home.
How expensive? I mean, the gear is still like, it's like hockey, right?
Here's the thing. Here's the best tip I can have you. By the way, already pressed record. This is literally how chill like the entire thing will be.
Oh, yeah, party on. For the audio engineer nerds.
which I am very much an audio engineer nerd.
Running through a UA Neve 1084 with my Audix PDX 720.
Which is why you sound so crisp and so good. And I probably won't have to edit your vocals very much.
I've been in iPhone world since 3GS. And because voice memo and notes is such a powerful songwriting tool, they own me.
Yeah.
I'm in. I am there for life. Although they resurrected the Motorola Razr and I miss it so much.
Do you ever listen to Song Exploder?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like Song Exploder is whenever I first realized that most musicians use the voice memo drastically different than I've ever used voice memo before.
Also, in voice memo, you can hit copy and then you can go to your notes app and paste it in. So what I do is I type my lyrics on notes, and anything I reject, instead of deleting it, I just copy it and paste it down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So I never lose lyrics.
Yeah.
And so my notes will be like, you can scroll for days on a song sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it'll have voice memos, and I tend to do like oldest at the top. And so whatever's closest to the text is my current version of it. And so sometimes it'll be like new bridge, new second verse, because sometimes songs take like the craft of it, like The House That Built Me. Alan Shamblin and Tom Douglas wrote that song, and they had like over a dozen revisions. I don't remember the story, so I would feel I'd be remiss to like quote it, but they have a lot of like they took their time on that song, and that song's amazing. That song gives me chills every time I hear it. Like
I forget for Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys how many sessions they did before the Brian Wilson actually felt like it was good to go. But I feel like it was like over 50, which, as a reminder, back then, that wasn't them sitting in their house recording. It was them going to a studio, having studio time and all of that.
I just went to a studio with 2 of my buddies who are brothers, who are both utter music savants. And we just finally aced a song I've had for 10 years.
Okay.
And I have recorded it multiple times, and it has never been great. It has never been correct.
Yeah.
It's a song about a dear friend of mine overdosing. He survived it, but it was at the 2 a.m. when we didn't know if he would.
Oh, cool.
And it was like a stream of consciousness song. I've never aced it before, but now it's man, and it's such a good feeling.
Yeah.
You know? And it was just, man, I get it. I understand why Brian Wilson did that. Sometimes songs it's just, they're worth it. They're worth the chase, and you know better than to release it when it's not ready.
Yep.
And in this era of just get the content out, get it done, get it done fast, like all this imaginary deadlines. I think the truest thing to remember is in music, there's no such thing as a real deadline.
No, I mean, I think I view it even for like podcast episodes and songs that like every song, every episode has its own like energy, has its own muse to some extent. And you're somewhat trying to like figure out how to complete what you're doing, but also you're trying to like respect the energy of the room and energy of like the moment that you're in. Because ultimately your recording is the capturing of what happened in a room, right?
Yes.
And that's what it is. So you're trying to desperately like capture the energy, capture the muse, capture the great, like, because it's music, man. It's not you're putting like you're putting out a 4-minute song, but you also know that song is greater than that 4 minutes that you press record for.
Yeah. And I think you just captured something that takes so long to explain to people who are new to it, who are obsessed with perfection and the imaginary pursuit. I call imaginary pursuit because you're never going to reach it.
Nope.
So not imaginary, perhaps vain pursuit of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want a perfect record. You want to capture that moment in time. And there, I had an entrepreneurship professor in college because I minored in business, and he was like, which I kind of learned more about business in my business minor than my music business and songwriting major. I went to MTSU, by the way.
Oh, cool.
But I live by Belmont. I call it Belmont on a budget because my family's super middle class. My dad was like, "You want to go into debt to be a songwriter and guitar player?
Yep.
Are you hip to like how that's paid back?" And my wife works in a startup, so she works in wine, but it's a startup, so we're constantly doing the health insurance shuffle, which really
not so fun.
Really caught us when we had kids because we'd gotten sold by a songwriter friend of mine on this health indemnity plan. And listeners, don't do that because you end up paying more than real insurance when you buy all the upgrades when you inevitably get pregnant, because the God's favorite thing is for you to be like, we're not going to get pregnant, and
twins.
You're like, twins. We have twins. We have 13-month-old twins, and they are, I never knew. No one ever told me how much your heart grows when you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
The whole pregnancy, you're like, God, I hope I'm good at this. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be good at maybe I'll suck. Like, I hope I can love them enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they enter the world. And for me, I didn't have time to be worried about that because the day they were born, I played the Today Show with Colbie.
Oh, seriously?
Or I guess the day before. So like I had like a 3 a.m. wake up and sound check or whatever. And then we did some press stuff. And then oddly enough, we had like a promoter like messed up and somehow like a ticket linked in. Anyway, a show got canceled, which never happened at that point. And they were like, "Do you want an off day in New York? You want to go home?" And I was like, "Man, it's like a month till baby time." That's what I thought. Because a month till due date. So it's like a month till baby time. Like,
yeah.
I'd probably rather be home and help. Like, Ainsley's kind of nesting. Like, Ainsley's my wife. And we'll just like I'll just mosey home with you. Colbie always goes home. She's a homebody. If she can wake up in her own bed, she's gonna do it. She'll take a red eye. She'll sleep on the flight. She's cool. She's just like that. Yeah. So super chill. Colbie Caillat, by the way. Super sweet for the listener. Perhaps the sweetest singer-songwriter I've ever met in my life. Yeah,
she seems super sweet.
She could call me in 40 years and I will probably still say yes if I can at all do it, regardless of where I am in the world. She is a talent and so sweet. So anyway,
good.
We're rolling into the airport and she, like, Ainsley calls me and she's like, "Hey, so my fluid's low and they're not going to let me leave and now I have to go in." Because when you have twins, you have to get like...
You
a ton of scans. Yeah, and they bill you for all of them.
Of course they do.
And some of them, they won't even let you do the next one until you pay for the other ones. And it's just seriously? Like, the funniest thing, right before we got pregnant, Ainsley and I looked at our finances and I was like, we're going to have a banner year because we had a ton of touring with Colbie and then she'd gotten a raise and then we were pregnant 2 weeks later. And I was like, it's fine.
Never mind.
I need to get used to having a lot of money.
I didn't want to like buy things I wanted. It's fine.
I don't need to know what that feels like yet. Like,
It is true. We got out of student loan debt and then we had a kid. So like all so
like,
this is fine. I'm used to being poor. This is great. This is fine.
Like when you're doing your budget and you know how much you need to spend on groceries and you're walking through and you're adding it up. And I in my notes app put how much it costs next to the thing.
Yeah.
Which is also sobering to look at 2 years later and be like, wow, Costco's really bumped everything up $3.
Just a bit.
Trader Joe's is still the budget people's champ.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, so Ainsley called me and she's like, my fluid's low and you really need to get here because your mom's here and I love her, but she keeps saying it's fine, everything's fine, but she doesn't believe it. But she doesn't believe it.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, and like my mom is so sweet and she's the best. Like, dude, the absolute illest. But she can have a tick sometimes when she's feeling nervous that she will like, she's assuring herself as well.
Yeah.
And Ainsley was like, I really need you here, babe. And I was like, dude, I'm on the next flight out. Like, I'm on the way. So anyway, I rolled in at we flew in at 10 p.m. Colbie's manager, Chad, who's also so sweet, was like, dude, do you need me to get your guitar for you at baggage claim? Like, do you need to run? I was like, I don't know. Let me check. And I call Ainsley and she's like, they missed the first epidural, so they have to do another one. So you have time to get your guitar. I was like, cool. They billed us for both, by the way.
Did they really?
Just for the record.
How did they bill you for? Oh, so like her first epidural didn't take, then they come back and do it again?
They missed like the junior or whatever. They put it in missed, so they called the adult.
Yeah.
But they billed us for both. Like, I don't know, man. I didn't get to see either of the epidurals. For better or for worse.
Trust me, you're not missing much. It's not a fun.
I've seen my
witness.
Yeah. So no.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I rolled in and I mean I just rolled in like I was on tour going to a green room. I rolled in with my guitar case, my luggage bag straight into the hospital room, like 11:30, and the boys were born at 2 a.m.
Oh my gosh!
And our Ainsley's doctor was a total pro. She'd caught so many babies, like averaged like 12 to 15 babies a week or something crazy.
Yeah.
And she was having carpal tunnel surgery at 6:30 or 7 in the morning. So she's like, these babies will come before that. Like, I'm going to do it. And I'm so glad she was, because she was so pro. And Samuel, our second, like the second one out of the womb, had like the cord kind of wrapped around his neck. And she just effortlessly, like 2 fingers in, shoop, like such a pro.
That's cool.
It made me think about like the difference between one time when we were playing, I think it was like, it's a different morning show. It wasn't today's show. I think it was like Fox and Friends or something with Colbie. And there was this crazy feedback on my line. And I told them at soundcheck, but then it went away like music things do.
Of course.
But it was really loud. And her music, I am the loudest thing. It's like being Adele's keys player. Like, you can't edit that out because it is the entire mix, the principal acoustic guitar on that song. So, they're counting down 15, 14, and then I hear it again. And I'm like, permission to swap it. I had them set an extra DI there because I knew it was the DI. I was like, do you guys have a radial? Because those have great grounding. Anyway, or isolation transformers and Jensen transformers. And I was like, permission to change it. And Will, the keys player, who was the MD at the time, was like, do it, Jolly, do it. They call me Jolly because I had this Persian tour manager say I was too effing happy to be there. And it was like day 2 on a tour, and I'd just gotten this Gibson endorsement. They'd sent me a 59.
Oh, sweet.
They sent me this 59 vintage original spec with a note that says, "We know you don't play loners. It's yours. FaceTime me when you get this." So, like, anyway, I was having a great couple days.
How dare
so
you
for
enjoy
him to be
that?
like, so for him to be like, Jolly, too happy to be here, and like change my name on everything, and now it's just my tour nickname.
That's awesome.
Because the touring crew world is so. I had the same crew for a Jessie James Deceker tour and a Colbie tour that were 2 weeks apart.
Okay.
So I was like, what do you guys have for the rest of the summer? They're like, oh, we're doing Colbie Caillat's 15th anniversary of Coco tour. And I was like, don't tell anyone here but me too. Because I hadn't told anyone. Because, artists get weird like when they feel like you're leaving. And it's like.
But you're not leaving. You're just going to the next gig.
But also I missed like 5 gigs for Jessie, and then she had a baby and she hadn't played any. So it's fine. Like, I didn't even need to leave. Like, I didn't even need to leave the gig, really. I like subbed out the good part of a Canada run. I played the janky gigs, or not janky, but like there's nothing to see in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Sorry, Canadians.
Not so much.
Although,
I don't know what our Canadian reach is. You might be okay.
Okay, cool. Although, Air Canada was a beautiful experience flying home. But
Was it cool?
yeah, sometimes you buy flights late and there's $30 difference between first class and normal.
Yeah.
And so I voted to give myself the bump, and we had a rookie tour manager at the time, so he just gave me the card number, so I did that, and that was great.
Nice.
It's like, bye.
See ya.
But yeah. So anyway, the dudes came and it was amazing. And then I left back out on I flew out like 30 hours later for the other show on that run with Colbie and just kept going. I actually felt like a diva because one of my buddies works at like Drip Bar, dropping IVs, and he's like, dude, you're going to get run down. I'm going to come and give you an IV. And so there's a photo of me getting like a immune boosting IV in Ainsley's like post-delivery room where she actually did stuff, wasn't where she did stuff, but it's like she's recovering from a real thing.
She just birthed twins.
Yeah. And I'm over here like a diva getting the trust fund kid booster,
I might have to fly at like 10 p.m. tonight. It's so inconvenient. Oh no. Granted, your wife literally not just birthed twins, but carried twins for
7 minutes apart, bro.
7. Oh, dude.
She popped them 7 minutes apart. Was such a pro.
Do you have a history of like, from what I've learned, twins seem very hereditary. Do you have a history of twins on one side of your family?
Identical twins are totally random.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
okay.
To put into context, I missed plenty of classes in college. My wife missed 0.
Okay.
She is an overachiever at a cellular level. And now I know that's proof because I got one egg going and her body was like, we could be 2.
We
could be 2. Yeah. So like the natural dude response is to be like, I have a magic member,
Look how impressive my sperm is.
Yeah, but it's not. Like mine just did its gig.
Yeah.
Her body was like, we could do 2.
We got this.
Your
wife is just very efficient. She's like, if we want to have more than one kid, let's go and do it. Let's do it right now.
If you could see the entire Christmasing of our house, you would understand how true that statement is.
Just taking full advantage of every opportunity. I wish I could be like that sometimes.
I don't. I wouldn't write songs as well.
Yeah.
Like you need to be scatterbrained to
Okay, but let's jump back to the original conversation.
Back to tube amps.
Back to tube amps. No, even before tube amps. Okay. So whenever you start to sign your kids up for activities, the best suggestion I have for you that is very cost effective is find a rec center nearby.
Okay.
Because rec centers are always like we would always do the one like Severe, like 12 South area. Mm-hmm. So like we would do ballet there. Rec centers are a great place to like get your toes wet for your kids, because like especially when they're as young as your kids are, like if you're like, let's do soccer for them, like check out a rec center, because like you don't want to start out paying like the travel soccer league fees.
No,
see what your rec center has.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah, because much like adults and everyone who gets frustrated with their kids forgets about the 80 hobbies they tried to start in their 20s and 30s, and like
pretty much.
Yeah, you're like, well, why do I have that Nikon camera? Oh, yeah, I wanted to be in photography for 2 months.
Basically, for an hour.
Yeah, so it happens. That like, and kids are just like that because they don't know, and they certainly don't understand money and the gravity of it. So it's like, you've got to find ways to, I don't know. I'm trying to take it day by day, but I'm going to file that away. I think the twin thing is very unique. And I have a dear friend of mine, Jessie, who I met when he was... he used to be the CEO of Gibson Guitars. Cool. So, and he is a twin. His brother is in Madrid, and we have drank heavily together in Madrid because I tour with my solo project a lot in Europe. There's a great infrastructure for touring and rock over there. And it's kind of retro rock and R&B thing. So,
cool.
And I have strategically placed musical friends that are like my UK band and my Spain band, because I'm certainly not making enough money to fly people over.
Not so much.
Sorry, John. No. Not yet, buddy.
One day.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Just because there is no substitute for being tour fit, for having played the songs 20 times, and how to like spark that creative energy. Like that is when a band is epic and should do a world tour. But when you're like still having like third show jitters, like it's okay to sub people in and out. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Some bands don't work enough to, like, you're not going to play the same set 120 times, and it shouldn't be exactly the same set or whatever.
No, I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, What were we talking? I
You were
lost
talking
it.
about touring overseas.
Okay.
Madrid, twin.
Oh, the twin thing. Yeah. Okay.
Twin.
So JC's advice on the twins, man, I really
Yes.
I got lost in an episode of Family Guy there, just breaking away. So JC said, he's like, I use this for business too, but especially for parenting twins. Don't see anything as advice, see it as an observation. And then you're under no obligation to implement that observation. Then you can listen to it and see what you want to harvest from it. So he's like, it's just their observation based on their life experience and their specific circumstances, and it may not apply to you at all, but it might. Yeah. And so he was like, just never view it as advice. Always view it as an observation. And I think that's helped me everywhere, but especially parenting, because so many people are like, well, you have to do this and you have to do this. And like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I definitely, I guess we have our own parenting style, considering like my boy's favorite song is Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. Like, that's not a very typical parenting style. But they also love this Gilberto Gil from Brazil, this live concert, which is amazing. And it's just like everything you want from a legacy artist. Like, the band revolves around, but he stays on his stool and plays perfect nylon guitar and has this beautiful singing voice. Yeah. Speaks in Portuguese between songs. I speak zero Portuguese. I know how to say thank you, obrigado. That's it. And so it's just, but it's so, anyway, we have our own things, and they're catered to what our dudes dig. So, yeah, I don't know. What was the weirdest parenting advice you got?
Oh, man. That's actually one of my go-to favorite questions to ask someone.
Oh, well, you first.
No. I think, I think the thing that I wish I would have been given more reality on was breastfeeding. Because breastfeeding, I always thought was just like, oh, you just like hand it to the wife, pops the baby on the boob and everything's good. And I didn't know that like you might have a tongue tie, the baby might not latch. Then you have to go to lactation consult. Like all of that world, my wife figured it out for all 3 kids, which is like an insane amount of work.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was like just something that happened. Yeah. Like as if it's like, oh, cool, you just do that and you feed the baby. And like the amount of like female culture around like breastfeeding, if you breastfeed or if you bottle feed, like all of it, I'm just like, oh, I didn't know any of this existed.
There was so much pressure on my wife on that one. And
and especially if you have twins, like it's also like
we personally pumped. So Ainsley pumped, and then that way we could take shifts. So I'm more of a night owl. My wife is a morning person. So I would take up to 1 a.m. and I would do all the feeds necessary and changes or whatever. And then I would knock out at 1, and she would take any interruptions from there up.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and that way, and then she would just go to bed at like 8 or 9. And that way she got like an uninterrupted 5-hour block.
Yep.
And like, that's just what worked for us. But if she would have had to breastfeed, and then your odds of getting the same pull on both, and there's so much risk with it. It's so complicated.
Mastitis is like guaranteed.
Yeah. Yep. Rather than, just hook it up. And like, she felt like a farm animal, and that was its own mental gymnastics to figure that out. And you as the dad's just trying to like, dude, I can't take this from you. Yep. Just tell me what you need. And sometimes she's like, leave me alone. And I was like, okay, I can do that.
Cool, sounds good. I will.
But
just like yell whenever I need to come back in.
But like, it's, I think just communicating, and my wife and I've been together a long time. Like we we met in 2014 and kind of quickly started dating. Like, we were friends first, but like, I don't know, it just kind of, we were friends, but I was like, man, in a world she's in, I don't know that I could be with anybody else. She's too cool. Like, I would always be thinking about her, So anyway, our communication is pretty cool. Dialed. So
good. But that's one where I feel like people had whenever, because first kid, wife has never breastfed before. All of it's new. Not like
does your terrifying, because you don't want to do anything wrong. Terrifying,
exactly. And then it's all dependent. Like the happiness of your baby is dependent on it. The growth of your baby is dependent on it. So whenever we were like, for the first kid, it did take like a month or so of her working out to figure out like a good routine and rhythm and all of that. And like, I don't remember any of the advice you got, but like whenever you struggle with something, I feel like because whenever people are just like, oh, have you tried this? And you're like, I don't even know. Like, oh, you have too much milk production. Have you tried cabbage on your boob to try to stop milk production? That was
that
one piece of advice. Yeah, it is.
Oh.
So like you get all these things where you're like, this probably worked for one person at some point in time, and you need to acknowledge like it worked for a person, and that's why you're trying it. And it's not that it's going to work for you. It's that you're just searching for answers. You're just experimenting. You're hoping this works, but like you're also so exhausted that you're like, but I really need an answer. I really just need this to work.
Yeah.
So how do I find an answer that works?
Dude,
so
it's
that whole realm of breastfeeding was one where for the first kid especially, it felt like everyone had advice, and it was just kind of like, I don't like, but does it work?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting to the point where we need an answer that works more than experimentation.
Yeah. You know, the best piece of kit, the best advice we got was, okay, so our boys had to go in the NICU for like a week.
Just because they're a month early.
Yeah, the lungs weren't fully developed. And that was, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. However, having a bunch of like really seasoned bros to be like, hey, what bottle should we use? And they're like, do Dr. Brown's and get this $7 organizer for the stuff in the dishwasher so you don't have to wash them by hand. I was like, sick, I'll buy 4 of those because we're old.
Because you have twins.
Yeah, and like we went through such a gigantic, monstrous amount of bottles. Had I not gotten that piece of advice, I would have spent 2 hours a day cleaning those puppies, like just swabbing them. So that, and then my brother-in-law, Ainsley's brother, they gave us their baby Brezza, which is like a Keurig machine for formula.
Oh, yeah.
And there is nothing better at 3 a.m. with a screaming child than holding them in one arm and just like 4 ounces. You're kind of asleep. You know, dad walking over, just pow. And then inevitably they both wake up at the same time. So then you're just anyway, it's just like the best things were total like gifts or hand-me-downs and accidents and whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's, you make it through.
Yeah.
In regards to the weirdest advice, I remember one person who I'm not going to name for the protection of the innocent.
Yes.
But was like kind of passive aggressively, I'm glad sleep training's working for you. You know? And it at a point, I think it's because they're twins. Like they don't feel scared and alone because they have their dude.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So like they'll wake up in their cribs in the morning and we'll look on the monitor and they'll just be quietly like tossing stuffed animals back and forth.
That's cute.
And like, or just like playing on their own, but they're not alone because their dudes, their bros in the other crib. So it's like, it's chill. It's really funny. Like, yes, there are times where it was like absolutely hellishly difficult at 3 a.m. when they're waking up and maybe they've both thrown up. And so you have to like clean them and then put them in one crib while you, whatever. Yep. Yes, there are things that are so overwhelmingly different than having one. But I tend to look at the silver lining, which is why I probably still make music. And and I forget the bad stuff. But yeah, sometimes it's just the joy of, they'll like crack each other up and then have like a laugh circle. And you're just like
cute.
You're just like the third party bystander to this whole thing of them just like playing hide and seek with each other. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of ill. Like this is cool. Yeah. So it, you know, give or take, like to any dads out there, if your wife's pregnant with twins and you're stressing out, don't be. Just you know, get a good mental block on the hard stuff.
Well, like also the first, like, congrats on making it through the first year. Because I feel like the first year, whenever it is their birthday party, I always tell people, like, when you have the birthday party for your kid, it's not actually to celebrate the kid being alive for a year. It's to celebrate that you and your partner kept that kid alive for a year. The kid is part of it. But the reality is like, hey, man, you just kept 2 babies alive for a full year. Do you need a drink? Do you need some cake? What can we get you?
Oh, we had a mimosa bar, and I went to this butcher down the street and got 7.5 pounds of filet tips.
Ooh,
and I cooked them up on the green egg.
Yeah.
And like, it was, my pitch was like, this is a sorry I haven't texted you back in a year. Come see our kids vibe.
But realistically,
and they're like, do we need to bring anything? I was like, I don't care. I mean,
just
they have everything they need.
Yep.
So yeah, like my credit card statement says they have everything they need. So
all will be fine. I just know that I probably have been flaky for a year because I've been trying to keep 2 humans alive.
Not probably.
I'm giving you some grace, okay?
I wrote the lead single on a friend of mine's, second single, but it's like the one she's most stoked for on her record, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. But we wrote it, had the kids, and I didn't hear it until the album listening party, listening party. And she was like, her name's Lily Winwood. She's amazingly talented.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, that first right would like set the trajectory of the whole record. I'm like, that's amazing.
That's
I am
great.
so sorry for falling off the face of the planet, though. My bad.
Yep.
I hope you don't hate me. You know, like, because she called me for this listening party and like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But like, we'd written it and then like, the boys had been born like 3 weeks later. I had answered no texts.
Yeah.
I think she sent me a demo of it when like the producer, like she and the producer tweaked the bridge or whatever. And
you just
like,
thumb stopped it.
I don't even think I did.
Seriously? Yeah.
I felt like such a jerk.
Yeah.
I think I hit her back like 6 weeks later. Hey, I'm so sorry. It's still amazing. I love it. I'm sorry. And she's like, cool, we've already recorded it, so I'm glad you like it. And I was like, I know. Like, I know I'm late. But I just send photos. I kind of keep the dudes off social media.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like, what do you? I'm currently wrestling with that. In true podcast form, we're gonna get really honest here.
Yeah.
So when I played for Jessie James Decker, her level of fame was so high. People knew her kids without her there.
Oh, okay.
And her level of family exposure is so high. Like her kids are on her Instagram or whatever. And that always freaked me out. And so at this point, I think I've hidden like a photo in like a long thread of photos of the dudes. But am I being paranoid? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the argument that I agree with the most of not wanting to post them a lot would be that like you're doing it without their consent to some extent. So like if they turn, I view it like this, if they turn 13 or 14 and realize that pictures of them have been on the internet, been in a public domain for this many years, and do you think that like, if that happened to you, do you think you'd be okay with it? Or do you think you'd be like, oh, I wish you wouldn't have done that? Because if you are at a level of like where you have a following, it does mean people will pay attention to it. Like doing a dad podcast, all of this, we try very intentionally, or at least I don't know if Justin does it intentionally, but I feel like he does also, the co-host who's normally on, of not doing like kids aren't supposed to be content kind of, type of thing.
Yeah.
So because I do, whenever I see someone use their kids for content a lot, I'm like, oh, that feels like to me that could lead to problems later. Where like if you don't have them be the content, they can't look up and be like, hey, why did you make me record this video whenever I was like 5 or 6? I didn't understand what's happening. Where it's like you used my likeness and me whenever I wasn't consenting, for lack of a better way to put it, and then you made money off of me being your child to some extent. Like those type of scenarios, that's also like the most extreme scenario possible.
Right. But then the flip, so I feel that.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. And then the privacy part.
Yeah.
But then also it's like, but I wouldn't want them to wake up at 13 and be like, dude, were you not proud to have me?
Yeah. That's the other side of it too. Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Do you have a silver bullet for that one?
I don't,
just me
because
just wrestling
no,
with it?
it's you wrestling with it. And honestly,
Okay, cool.
like the only thing I would know to do, but even then I could see questioning it, would be just big life events. So like whenever they turn 1, doing a post being like, hey, I'm really proud that my kids are 1. I'm really proud of what me and my wife accomplished in this past year and that we're figuring it out. But it's like, to me, that seems good. I don't know why like doing everyday stuff or like, I don't know. For some reason that makes sense to me. But other things make me go like, I feel like I'm using my kid for content in that scenario.
Mm-hmm. It's weird too, man, because I'm in a bit of a pivot where I'm doing more solo stuff.
Yeah.
And so then you're chasing something that's like, well, you have to have a certain level of notoriety to sell tickets in every market. So even though I think fame's the absolute worst part of the music industry, it is a necessary evil if you want to move tickets.
Yep.
And if you don't move tickets, then you can't tour. And if you can't tour, you can't guarantee you're going to make money. And I love touring.
Yeah.
There's nothing, I see it as like we're selling escapism.
Yeah.
So like I can make you forget about your in-laws, politics, everything.
Yeah.
For 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Like what a gift.
Yeah.
And to get to do that every night with your friends and, potentially reimagine songs and let the art live and breathe.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So I love it. I'm never going to get tired of it. But it's just figuring out that's really where my wrestling comes in. It's like, how do I protect them?
Pretty much. Because that's the question.
People are like, not in general, but there are some weird people in the world.
There are.
And they're the ones who latch onto that stuff.
Yep. But you're also
in a way that you can't control.
You're also trying to balance that, like, for usually nowadays, for people to go spend money on something, they need to feel connected to it. So you're also trying to figure out how to make your fans feel connected to you and your art. And
it's hard to differentiate who I am without, like, being a dad is there is a deep, deep joy that comes from hearing their laugh. And like, there's just it's such a unique part of my joy now that I can't not share if you want to know all of me.
Yeah.
But I also don't know that people need to know all of me. So
I'm a really big believer of, like, it's not wrong to have walls up. It's wrong to not acknowledge the walls that you have up. So, like, if you decide that like this is something that makes you feel like you're protecting your family by not posting pictures of your kids or something like that, that's great. Now, if you're unwilling to, like, say that, and you're just, and like you get weird when people are like, hey, how are your kids? And like, blah, 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 blah. Then, like, no, just like, hey, you're doing this because you think it's the right thing. You're good.
Oh, if we're friends and you ask how my kids are, you're getting the most adorable photos on my camera roll.
That's awesome.
Like, and it's, maybe it's just okay. It's like, if you're not on the Christmas card list, you don't know what they look like. I don't have enough money for Christmas cards, by the way.
You don't have an extra $300 to $400 just for Christmas cards.
That's a different status. We almost had enough money for Christmas cards, and then the kids
came.
Had
the kids. Okay,
so
that makes sense.
What would make the cards beautiful came.
Yeah. Now you can't. Now you're just sending a text message to like 3 people that's like, hey, Merry Christmas. Our kids are alive and cute. Thanks. Appreciate it.
It's so true. Whatever, man.
But
we'll be fine.
I don't know. Let's see. I was trying to make a point. Let me think of what it was. God, I'm also a little scatterbrained, so it's fun that you are too.
That's what makes you creative.
Usually, yeah. It's just like, let's jump to this. Let's jump to this. Let's jump to this. It's fun.
If you medicate it, then you lose. Yeah. You lose it. You lose that dexterity that makes you. Aerosmith, when they as a band, when they would write, they had this thing called Dare to Suck, which was a rule that, like, you couldn't shoot down someone else's idea. You had to see it through. And that's why they have songs like "Dude Looks Like a Lady." Dude looks like a lady,
yeah.
Like, that song shouldn't have started.
Yeah.
But because they were so, like, I don't know, man, let's see.
Yeah.
They made it cool.
Yeah.
They're like, well, if we're going to do this, which this lyric's hilarious, and we're going to have this inside joke, it's got to slap.
Yeah.
And they came out with this amazing art that would not have existed had they edited at the same time.
Yeah, or shut it down.
Yeah, and if you're all Adderalled out, no offense to Adderall or whatever, but like, for me personally, were I to be medicated for what I'm sure would be classified as ADHD, says plenty of ex-girlfriends in my past. I've said that. Shout out. You know who you are. You hopefully don't listen to my content.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. If you do, you'll be like, oh, wow, he's more scattered than ever.
Still the same.
I knew it. Great decision. Gracious. I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't have that dexterity if I didn't have the, you have to weaponize your weak. It's a liability or an asset. You just have to move it into that column. It's like when Shakespeare said everything's a tragedy or a comedy. It just depends on how you write it.
Here's a question I have. I'm a big fan of overanalyzing, like, Western ways to approach life and Eastern ways to approach life. So if you notice, like,
how far east are we rolling?
As far as you want to, honestly. I'm very fascinated.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm a big believer of, like, I think like there's always this balance that you have to figure out of whenever you notice something is wrong with yourself or you find something that you need to fix about yourself. The question I always ask myself is, do I need to fix this about myself or do I need to accept this about myself? Because I think there are things about your life that you need to fix and there are things that you just need to accept because it's kind of who you are. And I feel like it's a very fascinating balance because one is about, like, fixing something is very action focused, which is to me very Western. Whereas, like, to accept that this is who you are is more Eastern and more contemplative.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think I don't think I looked at it like that per se. There's just some things I'm incapable of fixing about myself.
Which then leads to acceptance because, like, hey, man, this is just who you are.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know, my whole premise on relationships, like, when I was looking at, like, when I was dating my wife was, and she wouldn't mind me saying that, I hope.
We'll find out.
I will find out. But, she had a couple store cards that were maxed out when we first started dating. But she's also spontaneous and would book a trip to France tomorrow if I wanted to. those are flip sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
One I can't live without, the spontaneity, and one I can deal with, which is like, whatever, dude. Leverage that to have a good time. Like, as long as we can attack it together and be smart about it, like, if that's the worst thing you have, I'm in.
That's
and
fine.
So like, that was, and so I think if something that is frustrating is the flip side of something you can't live without, like, it's totally fine.
Yep.
So yeah, for me, like, I'm a scatterbrained, slightly spastic dude, but I couldn't live without being able to, like, you know, you're learning a song and you're like, oh, I wish, you know, like, I wrote a song when I was learning, like, a Colbie song, right?
Yeah.
And it was like I hope this is in tune. We'll find out. Song called "Falling for You," right?
Yeah.
And then, but I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if it had pushes, like. And then you're in your head and you're like, ooh. And then 2 hours later, you have not learned the song you were assigned to learn. Yep. However, you've written a new one.
Yeah.
That's the artistic journey in a nutshell, is like, I am irreparably, like, scattered.
Yeah.
I can't not do this thing. I used to think it made me a bad guitar student. But it doesn't. A bad guitar student is who doesn't go back and keep learning whatever you're learning when you got distracted. It just makes me at a cellular level a songwriter.
Yeah.
So I had to accept that about myself because I couldn't change it.
Correct. And I think I think younger versions of myself do assume I need to fix this about myself. And as I get older, it is more like, hey, actually, what if the thing you think is broken within you is actually a gift and part of who you are? And if you can accept it, then, like, you'll just be happier. So just accept it. You're scatterbrained. You jump from subject to subject, and you aren't, and like you're always willing to keep jumping.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's
always
okay.
Jumping.
Yeah.
Always jumping.
So
when I had questions that I wrote
down.
What is the weirdest reaction people have had to you when you say, I have a podcast?
Most people, I'm used to it because I'm a stay-at-home dad also. So like,
oh, so they're like, oh, how's that work?
Yeah. And then I'm like, what? And they're like, what do you do to, like, keep your sanity? I'm like, oh, I do a dad podcast. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I think most people, their reaction is, because how I normally phrase it is to be like, I think dads usually don't have many opportunities to share, like, stories about why they love having their kids. I think the expectations of most dads is how they show their love and how they care about their family is by how many hours they put into work. And I know dads actually have a ton of love for their family, have a ton of emotions about this entire realm of their life. But I question if people are taking the time to give them a forum for it, give them an opportunity to sit down and be like, hey, what was the birth of your kids like? What were you doing whenever your twins were about to be born? How did you feel during that? And then most dads are like, oh, cool, I got like 20 minutes of things to talk about here. So most people, whenever I explain it to them like that, they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. That's really cool. So
it is. It's funny, man. It is interesting. I do feel like society's changing in a way on that. And, like, there's a lot. It's easier for people to treat being a great dad as a point of pride.
Yes.
I am currently baffled by friends and peers who can be absent.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, you don't want to, like, you don't want to kind of, like, make sure you're home in time to at least tuck them in?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and, like, I don't want to be obsessive about it, you know, because touring's what I'm great at, and I have to be gone. But mercifully, technology's amazing. Like, the dudes know how FaceTime works.
Yeah.
Like, they FaceTime
and
my
they're
parents
13
all
months,
the time.
Right?
Yeah, they get
That's
it.
Awesome.
Like, they understand. Like, they sometimes get frustrated you can't come out of the phone and give them a hug.
Of
but
course.
Like, they get it because my parents live far away and they FaceTime them all the time.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just like, kids are smart, man. They pick up more than you want them to.
Yep.
Really trying to dial back the cursing in the house.
It's real hard.
Because, you know, you really don't want, like, to get those phone calls from school.
No, you don't.
Where it's like, okay, I had to stop myself from laughing because your kid had an epic takedown.
Yeah.
But you got to come pick them up because they
this.
dropped like 3 exploditives. You know? And, like, what am I supposed to do if I'm on tour and that happens and my wife has to go pick them up? Just, like, cancel meetings and, like, go pick them up.
Because you can't keep your mouth clean.
Yeah, bus mouth, you know? Like,
pretty much. No, I think that's a common I do see people's definition of fatherhood trending in that direction of they really desperately want to be around for the everyday moments. Like, I think our parents' generation were more like, what are the big moments? I know I can be there for those. And I feel like our generation is more like, big moments are fine, but like, what about the little ones? What about tuck-ins? What about bedtime stories?
I think when I look back at my childhood, my dad and I would always like. So my grandfather played for Clemson football.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like late 50s, and then went in the NFL, and then quit the NFL because he made more money as a cop, which is really a sign of the times. But anyway,
these days.
Yeah. But so it's different times.
Yes.
But the so anyway, we were avid Clemson season ticket holders when it was relatively cheap to do it, and not anymore. We stopped when I went to college because I wasn't going to games with my dad anymore. But anyway, we went to all these Clemson football games, and the things I remembered the most were this boiled peanut stand on the way there, which is probably my dad's least favorite part of the drive because it's where it was so backed up on this little country road that this dad and son would sell boiled peanuts posted hot out of an igloo cooler on this corner because you were 3 cars back at a stop sign.
Yeah.
And you'd already been 20 minutes seeing their signs, their hastily erected signs for boiled peanuts up ahead, $5 cash only, whatever it was. And like that, I remember that. I remember, waiting at the tailgate and I remember we'd stop at Chick-fil-A and get a nugget tray if we could, or sometimes we'd do KFC or what, dumb things.
Yeah.
I remember playing pickup football with kids I just met at this tailgating thing, or sliding down the hill on cardboard, or they used to let us rush on the field afterwards, and then Dad would throw the football to me in the end zone, like this little football.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff I remember. I don't remember the games.
No.
I don't remember if he bought a jersey or if he bought the $8 concession or what. I don't remember any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I just remember the little things. And quality time happens accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot like art. Colbie told me this story about when she started writing songs. Her dad said, you need to get bored. You're too busy all the time. If you want to write songs, you need to get bored.
Yeah.
And that's kids in a nutshell. They're going to get bored and they're going to find what they love. And the quality time happens inside of quantity accidentally. And you just must be present to win. That's Kix Brooks' advice on Nashville. Is everyone gets a shot in this town, but you must be present to win. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, well, I get it.
It's pretty true.
So it's funny. This town it can be discouraging as a songwriter or musician because you're like, it is everyone. Everyone who's any talent at all. Yep. And frankly, all the best talents from all over the world at this point are here. But frankly, there's room for everyone. Yep. If you're really honest about it, it's like, man, this town is a launching off point. And there's room for everyone, and especially with streaming music, people don't even have to invest money to see what you're about. Yeah. As much as people hate on streaming, it's the only reason I have a solo career. Mm-hmm. My music's so quirky, or at least from the outside looking in, you're not gonna bet on something that sounds like Dire Straits. Yeah, yeah. You're not hoping for a record label to find your solo project, help give you money, produce it. You're just like, I'm going to figure this out, going to put it on some stuff, and it'll be fun. Yeah, and I learned producing from working in studios, and it's led to other work. People will hear my music and be like, I want you to produce me. And it's like, cool. Sounds great. This is what I'm good at, just to clarify. They're like, oh, no, we know. We listen to your stuff. That's why we wanted you. That's cool. Like, oh, cool. That's amazing. Yeah. How cool is that? And then and then it slowly takes off and does its own thing. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to work with a major label. I think they're the best marketers in the world. Yeah, they are. I really do. I just wouldn't want for them to come in and be like, well, we want you to sound like this. Yeah, of course. But I don't want to bet my career on that. Yeah. I just want to bet my career on what I do. Yep. And then let it take as long as it needs. And then you guys jump in when you want to put money behind it and blow it up. Yeah, of course. And if that never happens, whatever, dude. Yeah. At least I went down as me. Yeah. But I don't want to have someone be like, well, you could be the next so-and-so, and then me fail trying to achieve the next whatever. Yeah. And it's always
I mean, even doing like a dad podcast in which like we don't have sponsors, we don't make money off of this. I know there's a route in which we could. Yeah, that's right. I know there's a way in which we could get sponsors and stuff like that, but I feel like I would have to give up something. My fear is to give up something creatively about this that I don't want to give up yet, because
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I think if like
give me a pep talk.
Well, when I looking at like what you've already talked about different things and the ethos of the thing, as long as people like you have enough content and frankly courage to say, this is who I am, this is my ethos. So as long as people buy into that, it's like, cool, man.
Cool. Okay.
Like we have the same joint. And if they're like, hey, we need to approve of who you're interviewing, it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, I can't let you do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can choose not to, sponsor episode by episode, but if you do it more than twice, I'm going to look for a different sponsor because I view this as art, and I view you as a patron of the art.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But like patrons of the art weren't breathing down Mozart's neck. Like they were just letting him do his thing.
Mozart, yeah.
Yeah, and his Mozart did mostly with the church, but if you look at people like different Baroque composers, they had separate like patrons that were just wealthy individuals.
Yep.
And that's what companies get to do. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like this microphone company, Audix, has taken care of me and helped me do certain things they're like, well, we have marketing dollars and we want to show a band do their thing. So can we hire you and your band to come and record with only our microphones, and then we'll shoot like a sizzle reel for our microphones off of that and use your song. I'm like, yeah. What a perfect blend.
Sounds great. Yeah.
What a perfect blend of your marketing dollars, being a patron of the art, furthering like the reach of my art. Like that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And innovative, like Chris there is like such a homie. Like you've got to, it's almost in the company's hands to see the gravity of the opportunity they have. So, and we just make art.
Yeah.
And then we just vet and make sure like these people understand who I am and my ethos, and I believe in that they believe in me for the right reasons, and party on.
Cool. Respect.
But like, no, I think there's some great spot. NA beer would be a great dad, because like parenting hungover would suck. My wife's company, Libby, just launched a non-alcoholic sparkling wine. It's the only one that tastes real. And no, seriously,
that's
they
cool.
either taste like pear cider or just some like bad caricature, like Myrtle Beach airbrush caricature of sparkling wine. They're never great.
No, they aren't.
And this one's actually great.
Cool.
And there's a huge like this company Martini that does mixers just did like a non-alcoholic Aperol.
Yeah.
So you can have a non-alcoholic Aperol spritz.
Yeah, that's true.
Feel real fancy and be able to like snap in when your kid wakes up from a nap,
which is helpful.
Epic. That's an epic Saturday.
That is.
To me, because you get the same kind of like there's a certain unwinding that happens when you have a drink, but it's not actually from the alcohol. It's from like the ritual.
I gotcha. Yeah.
In my book.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I'm in music, so I'm a professional barfly. So
basically,
let's just put this into perspective.
Yes.
It could be a problem if I didn't weaponize the non-alcoholic thing. So let's be honest here with who we are.
Pretty much.
But like, I love having the options because it does make me, it makes me feel like I'm not sacrificing, even though I am making strategic decisions to, be at 100% at the drop of a hat because, have these dudes.
Because you have twins.
And like, I don't want to forget my strength and throw them into the couch too hard, but they like to be tossed into the couch. Yep. So like, you gotta be on your P's and Q's to like toss these little rambunctious dudes around. Yeah,
you do.
They're funny.
You do. What other?
I love it.
What other questions you got written down?
That was mostly.
That was it. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, just
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it was light. I was gonna ask about the origin story between you and your co-host, but he didn't show up. So
Yeah. Well,
me and you, baby.
He just had a second kid, so that's why he had one on October 24th. So that's why.
Whoa.
So
under a month.
I'll give you the origin story quick. So we used to live on like the same street. Whenever I had my third kid, he had his first kid. And we'd always like meet up at like pancake breakfasts in the neighborhood, something like that. And he would be like, we just talk about dad life, and he would like ask me all of his anxious questions, and I'd be like, I don't know, do this. And he was like, after a while, he was like, man, if this was like, I'm trying to find like podcasts and dad stuff to listen to, like our conversations would be a cool podcast. And after like the third or fourth time he said it, I was like, so I actually went to Belmont and studied like music production and engineering stuff. So I can actually do all of that.
I can actually do a podcast.
Yes. And he was like,
which is, yeah. That's so cool, man. There is, I don't think they'd mind me saying this, but I'll leave out the artist name for the protection of the innocent. Sure. But there's a massive country artist who the band bus is referred to as the Dad Frat.
Oh,
because
really?
There is one member of the band that doesn't have kids.
Really? Cool.
And so they call it the Dad Frat. And I ran into him all the other day at they were at soundcheck. I was picking up an amp.
Yeah.
And there's a big rehearsal space that we roll in, and they were rehearsing for something, and we were just all shooting the breeze and like talking about kids, and they're like, oh yeah, our January's light, like let's get together. I do this thing called therapy jams.
Okay.
Where I'll just get together with my buddies and we'll just jam, and oftentimes we end up writing a great rock and roll song. Like I'm about to put out a song that came from a therapy jam.
Cool.
Of like, but I think it's really important, especially dudes who are locked in on like an A-level country tour, like that one, where it's like they play the same set all the time. And, you know, there's so many moving pieces. They don't really have the flexibility to jam. You know, my favorite style of touring is theaters.
Yeah.
Like when you're a headliner in a theater, you have these long, luscious swaths of time.
Yeah.
And there's not so much production that you can't go and have breakfast somewhere. Cool. And like, you know, that's the best touring. So once you get up to arenas, you're stuck in the arena. Yeah. So like you're stuck at catering and you're stuck, like it's different. And so they're all there. So it's just important to check in and be like, hey, you guys jam for fun?
Yeah.
Would you like to?
Yeah, of course. Like, well, I mean, also like if you do play an arena tour of something like that, and it comes to the guitar solo, like people want to hear the guitar solo that's on the track. Like you have like 20 to 30,000 people that want to hear the solo played specifically this way versus like playing at the Ryman, like, oh, you're going to riff on a solo? Cool. People are here for it.
And, you know, I am going to be candid about that in general with guitar solos. I remember the first time I saw Keith Urban live.
Okay.
And it was 2012. So he was on his hottest streak.
Yeah.
You know, he'd just come off of my 3 favorite records of his, like Love, Pain, The Whole Crazy Thing. What is it? Get Closer and Defying Gravity. Those 3 amazing records. He and Dan Huff co-produced most of it, or Dan did it. I don't remember how that shook down, but anyway, their fingerprints are all over it. Amazing guitar parts, really well thought out solos. And I watched him live, and actually, no, it was right after. Well, no, the first time was then, and he played the record solos, beautiful as they were. And then there were times where he would tag on at the end.
Oh, okay.
And there were times where he would go back at the end of the song and vamp it.
Oh,
and
cool.
then he would get out his thing.
Yeah.
But it taught me so much about guitar soloing, as, you know, and this is what, 12 years ago, whatever. And it's like, oh, that's how you give people what they want. You play the record solo that was good enough to be on the record. And there are certain styles of music, like bands like Tedeschi Trucks or deep blues songs, that do not need to be the same solo every night.
Yeah, that's a different world.
But they do need the same turn signals. So when the way you end the solo needs to be the same to go to the next section as a cue for the band and the listener. But anyway, on those like pop songs or country songs like that, especially if it's on the radio, you play that baby note for note. And then if you feel like it needs something else, you build in the time.
Cool.
You build in the tag, or you build in a vamp at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's a radio single, like you play it you play it straight through.
Yeah.
I didn't even say it, kids. Look at that. I caught myself.
Good job.
God, such bust mouth, bro. You play it verbatim, and then then you probably have a Vegas playoff where the artist goes and shakes hands or whatever, and you're going to hit the solo again, a solo section. And now you do what you want to do while they're like, you know, signing ball caps and throwing out guitar picks and stuff.
Well, I think familiarity matters. And you have to, people are there because, and also like you could, like, depending on the vibe of the band and everything, people are there to hear that solo, hear that song, play it in that way, but experience it live and in community, honestly. And
guitar players want to watch a live video of you playing it to figure out how you're playing
it. Yeah, that too.
So if you don't play the solo, 14-year-old you is frustrated.
Yeah, of course. But like at the same time, though, I do love like Dawes is one of my favorite bands, and watching Taylor Goldsmith get to the solo of any song is just anticipation because I'm like, what's he going to do this time?
And I think he's made that his brand.
Yes.
It's, in a way, it's like really well written adult hot AC songs, like adult contemporary, adult alternative, whatever you want to call it, with kind of a jam band heart.
Yep.
And so he harnesses that by never taking a solo the same way.
Yep.
And it's part of his ethos. I don't think you can. I think that's as long as it's true to you.
Yeah, that does matter.
I think the only time I get frustrated with music is when it's like, this feels terribly derivative.
Yeah.
Or this feels like there's a certain pop artist out there who got famous really quickly and has perfect pitch, and he's very blatantly unapologetic about, I take a reference song and I go 5% away, and then that's the song.
Yep.
And I know it's going to be a hit because blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And it's like, that's so lame to me.
Yep.
It works for him, and you know what? Can't fault him. He's employed a few friends of mine over the years, which is why I'm not saying his name. And he's treated them well, and they've been great pay players and whatever. And so he's a sweet cat.
Yeah.
But I'm diametrically opposed to that style of songwriting, because for me, it's like you need to have so many references, like so many influences, that you can't pin it down.
Yeah.
Like, as a dude singer-songwriter with a blues background, like, I'm going to get compared to John Mayer, period. But I have enough different influences. Like, I'm not that much of a Stevie Ray Vaughan head.
Yeah.
So that already puts me in a different world, you know? Like, I like Jeff Beck more, and Mark Knopfler, and Lindsey Buckingham, and all these other things, which is totally different.
Yep.
So, like, as long as I don't just, like, try to regurgitate John Mayer, I'm never going to sound like him.
Yeah.
And in my failed attempts to sound like him, I'll find myself. You know? And that's the beauty of music.
Yeah.
Like, your failed attempts to do whatever, you find your own way. And maybe that's what parenting books are all about. Maybe it's like my failed attempt to do the Bringing Up Bebe French thing, it finds my own, like, country fried Nashville.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. You know, like, I don't know. I read a lot of those books because my wife was reading books, and she's like, you should read this. This one's good.
Yeah.
She would kind of vet for me. She was like
this is worth your time.
She's like the summer reading list because she's such an avid reader.
Yeah.
And I love reading, but I also, like, I have to consume fiction every day
to
keep my imagination going for songwriting.
Sure.
So it's like, well, 40 minutes of my reading's already spoken for, but I can give you another, like, 45 minutes for educational purposes.
Yeah.
I do love a good book on tape, though.
I do too. I do a lot of audiobooks.
Dude, Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference.
Ooh.
Have you heard that one?
No, I haven't.
One, he reads it. Amazing voice. And he's a FBI hostage negotiator.
Oh, yeah. My wife has read this book. Yeah.
He did a master class that I took, and then I got his book. I have the hard copy, and then I found out he read it. Dude, I can't wait until my kids are adolescents, because I'm just going to use all of these things.
It's negotiation techniques, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is most of being a parent when your kids get older.
Right. And he has all these things about, like, you know, mirroring and calculated questions, and also, like, questions that build empathy, like how can I do that?
Yeah.
So you get people to do it, or, you know, if your kid's saying something irrational, like, I want to eat pancakes with chocolate chips for dinner. You want to eat pancakes and chocolate chips for dinner, and then you keep mirroring them until they expand upon it. Like, aren't you worried about a stomach ache in the middle of the night because there's so much sugar? What if, and you just kind of, like, slow it down. I don't know. My kids don't have words yet, so I haven't weaponized any of this, but I can't wait.
But you can't wait.
I can wait, though, because when they have words, they're also not at the point where, like, your presence is the present.
Yeah.
And right now they're in this zone where, like, their world lights up when I enter the room. And I know that's not forever.
It's not.
Because I remember, I don't think Epcar would mind me telling the story.
Yes.
But he came to a Colbie gig one time, because Colbie's so sweet, and he had, like, I don't remember what happened, but somehow, like, they didn't have anyone to watch his dude. And Colbie was like, just bring him. Well, he called me first because I was the musical director at the time.
Cool.
I still am. But he was like, what do you think? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, you have your own hotel room. You can just bring him. Let me ask Colbie.
Yeah.
And Colbie was like, bring him. I don't care. Like,
yeah.
She would much rather have that than, like, oh, like, your in-laws couldn't do it. Sure, bring him.
Yeah.
And so we had the sound check that he's watching. It was like a corporate show or something, something private. And he's got his headphones on. He's watching his iPad. We always start sound check with a bit of a jam. That's kind of my own policy because it keeps people from having what I call an ego mix.
Yeah.
So on your in-ear monitors, you choose what you want to have.
Of course.
And if you start by jamming and spontaneously, whatever, you have to listen to everyone. So then everyone dials their monitors with a little bit of enough of everyone that they can listen and respond. And then you never have someone just play the set down.
Yeah.
It's better for the world. Like, you should always start with a little bit of a jam.
Yeah.
And it gets everyone's creative juices
loosens
flowing.
everyone's up a bit too.
Keeps them from being like, practice at home punks.
Yeah.
One of my favorite session drummers was on a gig with me and said, practice at home. I was like, dude, you're so much better than that. Never say that around me. Like, it's the only time I've ever chastised him. And he's 30 years older than me.
Yeah.
No, 20 years older than me. But and so much more established.
Yeah.
But I was just like, man,
we're not practicing.
You're breaking my heart. But we should practice all the time. Like, we should never have like I don't want to, like, no, like, let's just get this done so I can go bugger off and do whatever. Like that was, anyway.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there.
Yes.
But so we're at the sound check and we're doing incredible things. I'm like feeding John everything he needs for him to get out of the zone and like do his crazy limitless talent drummer thing.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I look at his son. I was like, how about your dad? He's pretty sick, huh? He was like, I was watching my iPad. And
the whole time.
John was just cracking up. He's like, told you wouldn't be impressed.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, man, I need to like guard my heart for when my own sons
and he's like, doesn't matter to me.
So I am cherishing the fact that they dig it now.
Yeah.
You know, like they're like, yeah, they love to sit on my lap while I play guitar and mute guitar strings and stuff.
That's cute.
Yeah. Is this the lightning round question thing?
Almost. Yeah. Actually, yeah, pretty much. So we end every episode.
I listen to John's podcast.
Yes, good.
Because I love him.
Listen to at least one. That's good.
Well, he's
John, a good dude.
He's such a good
Seems like such a good dude.
An amazing drummer.
Yeah.
A great touring buddy.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, he's the dude, man.
Just casually being like, oh, yeah, I like went from California to Broadway so I could play in that Spider-Man musical. And I'm like, what?
You know what? Actually, I do have some fact checks for his episode. He mentioned he'd done some session work. What he didn't tell you is that while he was with his band Carney, with Zane Carney, who played for John Mayer, and they were in that band together, and that's how they got on Broadway, the band, which he didn't name check anymore.
He didn't.
Which makes me roll my eyes. I texted him and I was like, dude, you need to learn how to sell yourself because ain't nobody else doing it.
He didn't name drop at all. And I was like, what a humble dude.
No.
What a bad self-promoter.
I will for him.
Thank you.
So Justin Timberlake heard his playing and used him on a couple records he was producing, including a Rihanna record, which was massive, and a John Legend record that was massive.
Okay.
He has incredible credits. He is an astounding drummer.
But he just wanted to talk food and being a dad. That's what
he is one of the most talented dudes I've ever met. And I was so immensely frustrated with how he didn't name check anything.
He's just like, oh yeah, JT, I think are his initials. I'm not sure what they stand for, but I worked with him a couple times.
It's like, come on, John.
You got to do it.
Tell the people. Yeah.
Give the people what they came here for.
I'm also horrible about that. So I get it. But you know what? I'll count on my friends to fact check for me.
Sweet.
And then I will fact check for them.
We'll have John do a follow-up episode of just saying who you've played with. And then we'll just do back and forth episodes of you two fact checking each other.
You know what?
So first question, did you have any backup names for your kids?
Okay. We did. So when James Taylor plans a set list, he writes out all of his songs on little sheets of paper, rearranges it, lays them all out on the green room floor.
Yeah.
And then arranges it in order, takes a photo of it, and sends it to his tour manager.
Okay.
So we did that with the boys' names. On a door in what is now their nursery, we put them on sticky notes, and we had the name and the meaning. Because I believe names have meaning and can help with the trajectory of your life.
Sure.
Whatever. If it's woo-woo, sue me. But, like, so we had names and their meaning, and we had everything from... I have a lot of friends in Spain from touring, so we had names like Santiago and, more rock and roll names like Axel and Thor. And, and then we, stuck the landing on Julian and Samuel. And it just, paired with their middle names, like Julian David and Samuel Isaac. It just, with the meanings, and they both of them have a trajectory in their names, and both of them have a laughter and or childlike element of it, which is, if you have a direction and you can view things with a smile, in my opinion, you're going to be fine.
Usually.
Like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So that was how we stuck the landing. But we had a lot of contenders.
Okay.
And I learned very quickly never to share them.
Oh, no. Nope.
Because people have opinions.
They do. They have a lot of opinions.
And they have opinions after
yes, they do.
So
next question. Do you have a favorite TV dad?
Ooh, TV dad.
Yeah.
Does that have to be a movie or TV?
It can be either one.
I have a couple.
You can do more than one.
Okay. Movie.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Okay.
So like Sean Connery plays Harrison Ford's dad.
Yeah.
And it's such a funny, their relationship is not dissimilar to mine and my dad's.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I mean, obviously we don't do quite the same adventurous stuff that he does.
Not so much. You're not saving his life with a grail at the end of every day.
No, but it is, when he sits down in the chair. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
When he sits in the chair and they're in like the Nazi castle.
Yeah.
And he's like, I find that the best thing to do is just sit down and contemplate, and then opens the secret staircase and his son falls down it. That's so much like mine and my dad's thing of like, oh yeah, I love my dad so much, but we definitely view certain things oppositely, like in the best way. And there is a lot of comedy in the way both of our brains view things. And I end up laughing so much. I love hanging out with my dad. I love doing projects with my dad. He is so funny. So that, my wife loves Modern Family.
Yeah.
I find it a little cringy for me. Like some people love cringe. I don't, but Phil the dad on that,
solid TV dad.
He's so great.
Yeah.
He's just bumbly and awkward, but also has these like amazing moments.
Yeah.
And then Bluey's dad's pretty dope.
Bandit's
like,
pretty solid.
Bandit's got the way he helps his kids harness their imagination.
Yeah.
Is every bit of what I want to do.
Well,
because
Bandit's an unrealistic standard, because Bandit, no matter what happens, is always down to play the game in full play mode. And that's just, it's not realistic.
Too far,
it's not realistic.
Like, I'm not going to let you freeze me and embarrass myself. With my peers.
Yeah.
But like, if I can harness 25% of that, it's dope.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. So who are your favorite TV dads?
Oh, my favorite TV dads? So I would say, if I go off of what I watched a lot as a kid, it's always Homer Simpson, because I grew up on The Simpsons. So Homer Simpson is my definition of a TV dad. But he, as far as like father figure I want to be like, oh God, no. Homer's like a drunk. He doesn't remember anything about his kid. Like, he is an awful dad.
Yeah, I read that differently than you. I read that question differently.
No, you're good.
Who is a TV dad I want to emulate?
No, you want to emulate. Well, it's both. Because like, if I think of what did I grow up seeing as a TV dad, it was Homer Simpson, because I watched The Simpsons all the time. Does Homer have a single characteristic where I'm like, oh, I want to be like him? No, not even slightly. I don't even know who my like I want to be like them TV dad is, because Homer and like all those early 90s cartoons are so embedded in my head. I got to think of who's like a good inspirational TV dad.
I think like if it was like a not dad but mentor.
Yeah. There's
a older TV show called MASH.
Yeah.
And Colonel Potter.
Yeah.
Is like such a G. He's such a great like, if I could harness that level of father figure where he's like hard on them, but only when he needs to be, and like, anyway, that's a great series. Ainsley and I watched that whole series through COVID, all the way through. It's beautiful, dude. I don't know if you've ever made it all the way through there. Alan Alda's comedic timing is everything I want to be when I grow up. Dude, what a genius.
See, it's funny because I watch so many dark TV shows that, like, even thinking of like, what shows are you really into? Well, I watched a lot of Arrested Development. Oh, there's no good father figures in that. I watched Dexter a lot for a while. Oh, there's no good father figures in that. Oh, I watched 6 Feet Under a lot. Oh, no, none of them are good father figures in that. Oh.
Dude, our history on TV are very different. I haven't watched any of those shows.
Well, if you ever feel sad and feel like feeling dark, then you can text me. I don't know if the darkness exists too much in you based on your general happiness and excitement about life. So, but whenever you have the moment of questioning how dark things can get, I'll give you some TV show recommendations.
Well,
and
I mean, like, the dark TV shows I like are like The Punisher.
Oh yeah,
like John Bernthal's Punisher was so. When the dark stuff, I tend to gravitate to action stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
because I'm like, well, while I'm engaging this level of testosterone in a resting state, I might as well just hit it all.
Yeah,
you know, like
pretty much
go straight
over the graphic, everything.
You know? Like,
little cartoonish but good all at the same time.
I mean, I watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Oh, once again, no good father figures in that one. Well, Ned Stark was a decent dad, but
that was amazing.
But his morals got him
killed. If he just kept his mouth
shut. So I will think of who. It'd probably be from a book. So I got to figure out books that were influential to me and the father figures in them. So
then you text me later.
I'm gonna get too deep into this, and it'll be.
What kind of books do you like to read?
I do. So I've read every Stephen King book he's ever written.
Okay. So Darkness checks out. Got it.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah. I grew up on Stephen King and The Simpsons. So a lot of horror, a lot of sci-fi stuff. I like Kurt Vonnegut a lot.
Okay.
I'm originally from Indiana, so he's him and Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, are probably the most famous Indiana authors, I would assume.
A girl I was obsessed with in high school gave me a Kurt Vonnegut book, and I was like, "Is there subtext in this that she's trying to?" You know, well, it was an interesting one to send to her.
He is cynical but hopeful all at the same time, which just makes for fascinating books because he doesn't.
Which is how I would describe John Mayer's songwriting as well.
He doesn't want to believe. I feel like a lot of Vonnegut books, he doesn't want to believe in humanity, but he can't help but believe in humanity at the same time. So a lot of his books are wrestling with that because here's your Vonnegut random deep dive. He was a POW during Dresden, which Dresden was whenever they firebombed a city. So he was in the city when it was firebombed, and then you had to shovel out the dead bodies of civilians, basically, before the Germans basically left the town, and then America came and rescued the POWs. And he would have been 18, 19 whenever that happened. And
yeah, you're not going to write like Hallmark movies after that.
You're not. And if you then couple that with like the weird realities of he came back home and his uncle was like, well, now you're a man that you've served in war. And he was just kind of like, why did this make me a man? I watched innocent people be burnt alive and then because, there's that weird ethos of like, if you fight in the war, then you're a man. There's the masculinity that comes with that. And he always just kind of questioned like,
I mean, you're certainly not a boy when you return though.
You are not.
Now you have what every man has, which
trauma?
is secret demon. Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome. Maybe that was his uncle actually like opening the door for him to be like, well, what are your secret demons?
Well, I'm going to assume that the 40s PTSD was not.
Like, what if that was his uncle's cry for help?
Shell shock was just a beautiful thing back then?
Yeah. What if his uncle was crying for help? Yes. Like, now you'll understand.
There's actually, if you ever read Slaughterhouse-Five, I think there's two ways to read it because it's basically like a guy who's jumping through time whenever he was a POW in Dresden, and also him afterwards. And there's two ways to read it. You can read it as someone who actually believes that aliens exist and are manipulating everything, which is like a definite through line for that book. Or it's someone escapism with their PTSD because what they saw in the war was so awful that this is the only way they know how to cope with it. To be like, what if there are aliens controlling everything? What if now I'm on a foreign planet? And whenever I read that like that's a different way to read it, I was like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah. I think escapism is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like whatever helps you process it, because I don't think there are any as long as you're processing trauma and not letting it own and destroy you.
Yeah.
Like, just find ways that don't negatively impact you and others. But like, if it's escapism and like, you go to Comic-Con every year because of whatever, like that's your escapism. Like, party on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real normal. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I got you.
So I'm with him, man. Like if aliens got you through, buddy, you ride
fine.
That rocket.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Next question. You might not have this answer yet because your kid.
So his uncle's your favorite dad.
Yeah, he's my favorite dad. Yeah, because he tried to usher his son into manhood. No, I will think of one.
I personally think it was a cry for help.
No, because that would imply that men in the 40s acknowledge themselves enough to cry for help. So once again, cynicism. You might not have
meets optimism. We're like that.
We're the odd couple for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or where's the place where the salt and fresh water meet? And like, is it in Africa? Where is it?
I don't know.
Like they meet and that you can just see it
Fight.
curl like that. But it's more of a dance.
Okay.
Which again is you and I.
Such an optimistic way. I'm not like, I believe this is a fantastic side tangent, and I'm grateful my son is entertaining himself with books. I believe that people who are cynical at some point in time had a lot of belief and hope, and then they got lit down by whatever they had belief and hope in. So they still have that inherent, like, I want to believe in this, but I got hurt from it. So they're trying to, that's a weird dance of like, I believe in this, but it also hurts me. So I'm going to try to protect myself, but also I want to believe at the same time.
Yeah, I think within me, I refuse to let anyone taint the beauty I see in music.
Yeah.
And so for me to become cynical means that those people who don't understand art have won.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And they have stifled a voice.
Yeah.
Because I think they're so influential that I'm going to let them change the way I look at music. And I just refuse to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's all competitive edge.
Maybe.
And I'm just like, you will not win. You insert bus mouth, bop, 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 bop.
Okay. Third question. Your kids might be too young for this one, but it could still be true. Do you have a least favorite kids show? Like whenever your sons want to watch it, you're like, oh God, this show sucks.
Well, no, because they don't have words yet, so they can't request anything. So there are hard no's in our house that like, we'll have someone come in and be a nanny and it'll be like, we're going to watch Miss Rachel. I'm like, absolutely not. Not in our house.
Like, shut it down. Not here.
Or Blippi.
Oh, no, like, Blippi. No Blippi. Nope.
Absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to let you think that a grown man walking around with that hat is anything but
dumb. Is normal.
Yeah, no. Like, like we're going to watch, let's watch, Eric Clapton live from Royal Albert Hall.
That'd be good.
And so I am trying to parent trap him into liking things I find palatable. You can check in with me in 18 months and see if that still works.
We'll see how that goes, yeah.
Odds are it will blow up in my face in one way or another. But perhaps, much like songwriting, if we both don't think it's right, maybe we still need to look for something else. You know what I mean?
I do, yes.
Like, so, who knows? But yeah, my kids are too young to argue with me on that.
That's awesome. Enjoy that while it lasts.
I mean, they do definitely let you know if something's lame, though, because they just check out. But
they go do something else, yeah.
Yeah, but, they just like, sometimes I keep watching it because I'm like, no, I was kind of down to watch Aladdin right now. So I don't care if you don't think Robin Williams is a genius. I do.
Whenever Encanto came out, I remember like we watched it, and then I think we'd done something where like we watched the first half of it, but not the second half, so we could do bedtime stuff. And then like we got downstairs, and I was like, okay, but I'm actually like paying attention this time. I'm kind of how does this story end? So I ended up watching the second half of Encanto and crying at the end of it. Because it's so beautiful.
Have 100% finished a Disney movie after the kids go to bed. There's no shame in that.
There isn't.
It's art.
It's art. It's beautiful.
It's art. And they put some stuff in there for the adults.
They do.
Like, adults made it.
Yeah.
So, like, for them to sign off on it being good, they had to know it was good for them. Yep. And what? Yeah, no shame in that. No shame in that game.
Thank you.
Waking up early to watch it.
That's different.
Before the kids
come. That's different. That feels a little different.
That I would judge a little. Or as my friend Rocky Block once said at a Cracker Barrel when we got judged real hard, and he was looking real rock and roll, like morning after a gig. He's like, I'm not here to judge, but that doesn't mean I won't judge while I'm here. And then proceeded to like
destroy everything.
Yeah.
Respect.
So whatever.
Next question. Favorite kids' toy or activity? So like when your sons play with it, you actually enjoy playing with it also?
I mean, I can kind of get down with whatever they're doing. I have all this like little percussion stuff, like tambourines and stuff, and they try to do that along with whatever concert we're watching or whatever, which is really cool. So I try to pick things with perk players.
Yeah.
I mean, they love these little tiny soccer balls. They like to kick them and stuff, and like do their like drunk belly out pirate.
Can they walk yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
They've egged each other on to everything.
That's cool.
So, like, one will start doing something, and the other one's like, I got to do that.
Yeah.
So, like, they're progressing very rapidly out of competitiveness with each other, which is awesome.
Final question. Moment of your kid's life you're most excited to be a part of? You can do general. You can do specific.
First sports win.
Ooh, okay. What sport do you think they'll play?
No idea. Absolutely no idea. I hope it's one I understand, but I don't care. I love them so much. I'll figure it out.
Yes.
Like if they're like, I'm going to be in curling, I'll be like, sick.
Cool.
And I'll go do exactly what my dad did, which is buy Soccer for Dummies at Books A Million. But like, I don't even have to go anywhere and show the shame of doing that because it's a digital world. So I can just look it up online in the privacy of my own browser. So it's just me and the NSA that knows. But
really,
but yeah, but yeah, you just care. Like you care because they care.
Yep.
And I don't know. They love soccer balls, so that would be cool. I'm not great at soccer. I was always okay.
Yeah, same.
You know? I was aight. You know, it was a bit of a country club sport in South Carolina where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So we weren't in a country club, which is why my dad gave me the no Belmont speech.
Yes.
But you know.
Well, then the only other thing I've left you for the episode is self-promotion. So like if we want to follow your Instagram, find your music, stuff like that, do some self-promotion. How do we find out more about you?
It's all, you know, I really need to update my website so this will light a fire under me.
Yes.
So there is a website. It's aptly named JonathanWyndham.com.
Oh, that's helpful.
But honestly, I'm really bad at self-promoting. Yeah.
What's your Instagram handle?
Jonathan Wyndham.
Yeah, okay, cool. And we'll like link you in the post and everything.
Sure. So. You know, I make fun of John about it, but I'm also equally horrible at it. And
so it's all self-projection. That's really what the thing towards John is.
Maybe it's paying it forward. I hope my friends will be like, what an idiot. Let me go on
Look
that
at all the cool stuff he's doing. Yep.
Let me go on this podcast and fix it. I don't know, man. It's I'm making music I'm really proud of. You know, I really love and believe in, and figuring out how to put it out in a way that the world hears it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that's tricky, but at least I'm making music I love. And, you know, you might love it too. So you can check it out. It's on all the streaming things. And if you love it, party on.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's A-okay. You know?
It's real.
Because it didn't cost you any money to get there.
It didn't.
Anyway, yeah. That's all I'd say.
That's awesome.
I'm just stoked to, like, make good music. I finally figured out the rhythm of, like, how to produce and get stuff done while also being with the dudes. And it helps that they're over a year now, so that there's a rhythm.
Yes. A little more predictable.
That first bit, like,
brutal.
For all the new dads out there, like, we're just keeping our head above water, and I get it.
You really are, though.
Like, but it is funny. I was talking to my buddy who's a bass player in the band with the Dad Frat tour bus, and he was like, cool thing about being a parent is nobody wants to waste your time.
Yes.
Which is kind of nice. You know, because they're not going to call you to be like, yeah, let's
go do this thing
for drinks after this session, and it's like, no, like
I'm done. Yeah.
Well, not like I don't want to be hungover in the morning, or I don't want to be strung out.
Yeah.
Like, it's made me a morning person to an extent, because it's like, well, they're so sweet in the mornings. I don't want to miss that.
Yeah, of
course.
Like,
the house is already buzzing, so I might as well be awake. And then before you know it, you're caught up on emails before the music industry's awake.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That is nice.
You're like, oh, I was up at 7 with the dudes, and, you know, made some scrambled eggs for them, and then answered my email. And I have a co-write at 10, but it's like 9:05, and I have so much extra time.
Yeah.
You know, like, sick. It's really cool. Like, I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. There's a songwriter in town, Nicole Gallion, who talks about she calls it baby karma. Like, every time she had a kid, she got like a #1 or something like that. And it is sweet to credit any break you get from this point on as like, oh, thanks, dudes.
Yeah.
You know, baby karma.
That's right.
You know, and then it's like, they're not holding you back. It's like, well, it's kind of they probably brought it on, which I think is a beautiful way to look at things, of like, oh, it's not that they're taking all this money out. It's like, maybe they brought this in.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like, you know, regardless of what you believe in, maybe this is the balance of that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, oh, God knows I have a lot of bills. You know?
That's right. Yeah.
So appreciate that.
Yeah.
A little manna from heaven.
Nice.
You know,
that's right.
So who knoes?
Yep.
I don't know. What do you have going on? What were you saying about your son?
He just escaped and ran downstairs and went back to
where
my wife is. So I gotta roll.
Bye.
So Jonathan, thank you a lot for your time. Thanks for hanging out for a bit.
Cool.
Thanks for being a good hang, man. I really appreciate it.
Dude, thank you for being a good hang. This
Perfect.
was fun.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I'll see you next time.
Bro.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Nashville Dads, and make sure to follow us on anywhere you find your podcast, and please give us a 5-star rating. And thank you to Matt Oakes for providing the music for the episode. Catch you next time.